Hey guys, welcome to Coffin Nail. I'm Lightbreaker, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Mike from legendary metalcore band Darkest Hour. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the audio only interview on YouTube. I'm here.
So, in this crazy time where there's not a lot of live music, Darkest Hour have been very busy. You guys got your own Patreon now, and I think apart from maybe Alien Weaponry, you're only the really big metal band that I've seen doing it. Can you tell us a bit about the Patreon, what you're doing there, what your plans are with it?
Well, I was new to the platform Patreon, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I have a lot of trusted advisors who help Darkest Hour. We've gone through everything, managers, booking agents, everything, and now we're sort of a DIY collective. We control our own destiny, but we do seek advice from a consortium of talented small music business entrepreneurs, if you will. And I hit up them, kept being like, man, being in a band, it's hard. And we basically shift debt every album cycle. We sign a record deal, get a bunch of money, invest it all in the album, go big, and then start over. And I kept trying to figure out, is there another path? Is there a future for this? And my friends kept pointing me to Patreon, and I kept saying they were crazy. I'm not going to do that. I refuse to do that. And after I spoke to some people who ran their own Patreons, although they weren't bands, I started to just visually see the lane of where this could work for Darkest Hour because we have so much content. We're always doing stuff. And also, I loathe Facebook and social media just because it feels like I'm fighting through white noise just to talk to people who care and shouting over people. And the thing I like about Patreon is it's sort of just like sifts that out. Like if you like the band, here's the info. If it's too much info, turn it off. If you want to help support the band, here's a simple way. Just stay subscribed. It doesn't take that many of you to do amazing things like which I'll get into, but we created the Patreon at the end of the year last year. It was going to be in conjunction with a bunch of touring we had planned. It was just going to only be a vinyl only thing. We had no idea what we were doing or what we were going to do with it, but we were just giving vinyl like a fan club. And then the pandemic hit, and I sort of had this funnel, and we were broken. We were hit hard. We had to cancel tours. The whole thing was just a shock to the system. But the Patreon gave us a place to where we could like double down and put our energy. And then in a strange way, it's sort of like that energy reflected back at us, and we had the funds to then under the radar film this live concert, which we did, and then also use as a fundraiser for our favorite clubs around our 25th anniversary last year. So that was a huge win. And then that we've created into a 3-part album release. And through that have learned a little bit more about how we're going to continually go about to release new music and content and directly connect to people, because this is what we're good at. We've always been good at the shows. We've always been good at it on the stage. But through the white noise of MySpace and Facebook and blah, 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 we've never been able to have that same feeling you might have if you're getting to kick it with us at a show. And I'm not saying the Patreon does that, but it provides a new avenue to get us closer. And especially with the pandemic,
Well,
that,
that's kind of a
you know,
surprise for me to hear. I assumed that it was a reaction to the current state of things, but it was planned before the pandemic.
well, okay. So we launched the Patreon last year, 2020, on January 1st with an exclusive 7-inch that featured a never before released cover of Police Story by Black Flag and a Minor Threat cover with our anniversary themed art. And that was just a cool little boom. That was our vinyl thing. And then we had the live at the Black Cat album that we've already put out. That's like a live album where we didn't prepare it for it being live. So you hear a little more mistakes in that one.
But
It's
that's the
fine.
natural sound, though, eh?
Hey, this live stream's really fucking natural. The difference is when you're performing for the camera and without a concert and without all your friends there, without 300 people backstage, I don't know, it's you're just focused. And we were able, I mean, the concert that's on the live DVD is really one take, but it just sounds so incredible because we were able to capture it isolated. I mean, just being able to isolate everything without the crowd in the room, on them gating everything. And anyway, I digress. My point is, Patreon was here a long time before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Patreon and the pandemic has taken us to where we are now in 2021, working on album 10.
Excellent. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to ask you a few questions about the new live album, Live in Lockdown, for anyone who wants to hear it. You won't find it on Spotify. You won't find it on YouTube. It's just on the Patreon. That's right?
Yep, that's the only place to get it. If you want a digital download of it, that's where you can get it from us right now. If you want to stream it, that's not really possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we're giving the album away in three phases. We're giving the audio away starting this month. So everyone who has a Patreon starting this month and moving forward gets an audio download. And starting next month, we're giving away the entire concert video. So you can download it, put it on whatever device you want and jam it, put it up super big, project it on your side of your house, crank it up in the PA, your practice space, have your own Darkest Hour concert over and over again. And in April, then we're going to be, delivering a really limited, exclusive, amazing sounding vinyl of this. As far as like, do I get to jam this album on Spotify? I mean, I don't think so, because Spotify is for promotion.
Yeah.
We have a lot of records up. Go ahead and jam them. This is for people who like the band. This is not only like collector piece, because you hear the songs played with 20 years of perspective. And also you hear Live in Lockdown is a greatest hits. So you hear albums, songs from like our first album, Mark of the Judas, and then you hear songs from our latest album, all sandwiched together, all with the same production. It's cool. It's like,
yeah,
it brings them all together, and then all of a sudden it's just photography.
Yeah, the set list is one of my favorite things about it, especially starting with like Doomsayer, and then Knife in the Safe Room is from the most recent album, and then Demons. One of the songs from your latest release, sandwiched in between your two biggest hits, and it flowed perfectly. Like,
I mean, this is a Darkest Hour concert. We do play entire albums in their entirety, around their anniversaries and stuff. But this is sort of what you'll get a lot of times, which is like a little bit of everything. And I've always been proud of that thing about our discography and everything, is that it's always sort of worked together, regardless of the crazy chances people think we take,
And you've got some friends that come in on it. You've got Buzz from Unearth, you got Fred from Prong, one of the guys from Suicide Silence, and of course Doc Coyle in there. How did you arrange that? That seems like a lot of work to get all those different guys in, right?
Well, although I'm the loudest member of the band in the room, no matter where you get us, there have been other band members in the band. And I guess leading up to the pandemic, we had a lot of people, filling in for Lone Star here and there, because he was busy with work and life was shifting for him and his priorities were kind of moving. So we had all these people fill in anyway. Like Doc had learned an entire set and done a European tour with us. Fella, who's from the band Dream Shade, lives in Switzerland, and he's done 3 tours with us. And then you have Fred, who is the original second guitar player, playing the songs he co-wrote on the thing. And so then we were like, hold up, we've got all these people, I mean, just putting Lone Star in a box and doing that while we're in DC, that's gonna suck. Well, what's gonna be entertaining, And so we kicked it around, and then we thought, oh, we're still talking to all these people. Let's do something we've never done. Let's play these songs like remotely with people we've never played, like or kind of like tell a story. You know what I mean? So we went and we contacted all of our friends that fit into the category of, do they play the song? Do they fit into the story? Can they record themselves with the video camera and the audio the way we need to? Because we still weren't able to get together. So a lot of what drove the video was access to whatever we could during the pandemic. But the way we were able to do the audio worked perfectly. And I think in the end, it makes a really cool release. And we were just lucky to have kind of all this cool stuff come out of this just sort of snowballed event, starting with just creating the Patreon and being like, we're going to try something different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've listened to the audio a couple of times now, but I haven't seen the footage, so I didn't know how you guys worked around having those other people play in. But I guess it sounds like kind of like Slay at Home, which I know you guys have been involved with on YouTube as well, right?
Oh wait, are you on YouTube?
No, I am, yeah. Not right this second.
So go and Google in the YouTubes the Demons Live in Lockdown, and you get to see one whole concert song.
Oh, right
you know
on,
what
man.
I mean? We've released actually one full song from the video that's up publicly. I don't know how to tell you the link other than the name of the song's Demons and the name of the album's Live in Lockdown.
Well, I'm familiar
there's
with
not that
Demons,
much other
yeah.
there, so that's it. And then you'll see how we did it, how we incorporated Fella, who's our Swedish, or I mean Swedish, everything's Swedish. Fella, who's our Swiss buddy, how he filmed where he was and did his thing, how we did our thing, and how it feels like a concert, you know?
Yeah.
And the thing is, when this aired, it was done in a way where we were also live chatting the entire time. So, I mean, there's a lot of elements to it. And do I think this is as exciting maybe to watch as a concert DVD? I don't think it's as exciting because the crowd isn't there, but I think you get to get a more intimate, close look because they could get the cameras in the right places this way.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there are benefits to. I think there are benefits to it, and I encourage people to check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
On our YouTube page.
At the same time, like you say, if it's not as exciting as a gig, obviously nothing's the same as being there. But loads of bands have been putting out archived live material that they didn't necessarily think they were going to release. But the few live streams I've seen, when you know that they're making it, understanding the circumstances, people know the circumstances being made and the circumstances to be viewed in. I have enjoyed the few streams I've seen so far, like, you know, Trivium streams, Lamb of God, stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to getting you guys up on the projector when the footage comes out.
Oh yeah, well, man, T-minus, what is it, 22 days? I don't know. Around 20 days from now, you're going to be able to do that. And I agree. Like, I thought this is bullshit. I'm not doing this. And I was wrong. You know, it's fun to connect with people. I mean, this sucks. This time sucks, not being able to do concerts. This is the longest we've gone without playing a show since we started being in a band. The longest I've gone with playing a concert since I was 15. But, you know, you got to keep your focus on what's real. And there's really people dying. Shit's fucked up. We're trying to not be entitled brats and be like, okay, we can sit at home and work hard to connect to people and help them get through this with art. And meanwhile, you know, build the infrastructure of our band so that when this is over and we can go bring music back to people, we can do it in a way that's even better than we, you know, thought we could before. And that's sort of where we're at, you know?
Absolutely. I want to talk to you a bit about your live show. Before I do, I saw you guys in 2019 on the Death of False Metalcore tour, and that was absolutely amazing. I'll be honest, before that show, I knew On Earth a lot better than I knew you guys, and I had money for one t-shirt and I bought yours. And I caught a pic from your set. Maybe you can tell me, is this yours or Fella's?
That's not Darkest Hours, bro.
Fella chucked it out into the crowd. I assumed it was him.
All right, let me see. Let me see it. Also, I can get you a pic, man. We got, okay. I don't know.
Oh, sweet ass.
Dream Shade. You know what? That could be Fella's other band, Dream Shade. He could use that pic and it could just be a branded pic from them. But you know, I'll tell you something. Sometimes you're up there and you're rocking. I mean, the lights are hitting and you drop a pic, you move, you go to the bass. When I drop a pic, I go to Aaron, our bass player, side of the stage. He always has his shit together, right? There's always good picks right there. So if I'm on the drum riser, if I'm over by the other guitar, or I'm somewhere that I'm not near my shit, which is a lot, and some happens where I drop something or something and I need it. And it can even be as simple as you're rocking and somebody bumps into you, or there's something going on with you're wet. But then shit, if I don't have a pick, I need to grab something. It's Ken Sue's guitar pick. I'm taking it.
Yeah,
if it's
enough.
Fucking buzzes, I'm taking it. No, I don't care if you're in my band. If you're playing that day and that pick is near me and we are in the middle of a set, it's my pick. Give me that. So I don't doubt that anyone in the band, including myself, couldn't have used that pick. But I mean, we have branded picks that have our names all fancy on them. Be back soon to not even only give you a pick, but take advantage of the fact that you're a Patreon and party with you, you know.
Yeah, well,
VIP backstage Patreon access.
Nice. Well, I think I got in just in time to get one of the vinyls when they come out, so maybe we can chuck a pick in the sleeve, yeah?
Oh, we're going to hook you up.
Good man. So about your live show, something I am always going on about on the show is metal bands who are serious about the craft but seem to have a lot of fun on stage, and I'm fatigued with bands who take themselves way too seriously. But you guys seem to have a good balance of taking yourselves seriously and also having fun. I saw the two guitarists you two stood next to each other, and then Aaron stood on your legs like a triangle. And I love that about the show. My question is, how seriously are you taking yourself or taking the show itself?
Aggressively seriously. I mean, to the point of obsessive. But you could, there's a lot of misery in Van Halen, even though it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
In Kiss's music, it's very like, joyful and candy. But man, I guarantee you, those motherfuckers behind the back scenes and Kiss hated, fought brutal to make it perfect. And so for Darkest Hour, it's the same way. Like, we definitely love the concert part, playing the show. We're all playing guitar, playing drums, talking about music, listening to music all day. We're the biggest super fan nerds. But as much as we love the show, we also are obsessed with routine and stuff like that, because that's how, as the musician, you get really good. That's how you have good shows. You do things the same way, you prepare the same way, you perform the same way. And as long as you're in that routine and you're in that zone, you're killing it. And it's the most joyful experience because you've prepared, you're doing the concert the way you'd like, the vibes happening. Doesn't really even matter who's there at that point, or what they're fucking doing. And that's what I think a lot of bands lose when they think of their concerts. They're worried about the crowd reaction to everything and keeping that interaction. And I think a great show, people are just watching. They can't do anything. They're just like watching, And so, like, when you get into that zone, it's great. But when you don't get in that zone, when something is out of whack, when it's not working, it is truly the opposite, and it can be brutal. So, we do make it look at like it's fun, because it is fun, but that is not to pretend that doesn't have its fair share of, like, hard work and perseverance that has to go through it, and I think that's the trade-off. That's why you see so much joy.
Well, obviously, I'm sure you'd rather be gigging than not. But I was talking to Rhodey from Protest the Hero a little while back, and he said that he didn't really miss gigging, and he's quite happy to spend some time alone with his family. In all honesty, is there a bit of that for you?
No.
Perfect answer.
I have a family. No, I have a family. They're a wife and a kid, a 9-year-old, and they are very supportive. They live immersed in Darkest Hour. They can't get away from it. Takes up half of our house. When the band rehearses, it rehearses here. I mean, they are, as in the band is some of the band members, they're just forced to, because I have a home studio that we used to have a studio that the band, practice spaces, all sorts of shit, but we sort of, as I upgraded my house, we got to a place where we had enough space here, and it just meant we could work more. And so I work here, I live here. They've been around me, but my wife has been with me almost the entire existence of the touring version of the band since we signed, since 1999 basically. And she's been there 100% supportive through all those tours, all those years. And I don't not miss touring, because we always had a great balance. So I don't think we have a bad balance now, but I think that we really enjoyed the life that we had when I traveled and I went on tour. And yeah, Dad was away, but that meant I wasn't always up in their shit about all this shit going on at the house and always, doing stuff. So I think there's a balance, and I understand using this as a positive perspective and saying, I am really thankful. I wasn't paying attention to how much I love being around my family, and this is a great opportunity as long as I'm not getting sick. But for me, I was fucking born to motherfucking get up there and get on the stage, and so are these other dudes that are in the band. So we're like, as soon as you can put the green light on, we're going to be there with the best show we've had in a long time, and people are going to be hungry to see it.
A couple of other things I wanted to ask you about. You recently released a signature guitar with ESP and LTD. Can you tell us about your designing process for that? A bit about the guitar?
I've been endorsed by ESP for a long time, maybe even a decade. And I've had the opportunity to play not only every ESP designed guitar, but almost every other guitar shape in modern history. Okay. I've been lucky enough to own every guitar, and I gravitated towards ESP because I play, very high action heavy metal, and the kings of heavy metal are Metallica. So you can't deny that eventually you're not like, who is this company that has both the guitar players from Metallica endorsing them? And then you start looking and they go, who is this company that also has George Lynch, Alexi Laho, you know, all these great players like Javier from Animals as Leaders, you know? How do they have all these amazing players? And you start looking at the guitars. And so for me, it started with the Eclipse. It's their more single cutaway guitar because that was my thing. And they had a version of that had a Floyd, which is something I was always looking for that I liked. And after a while, I gravitated towards the Arrow. I mean, it was basically once the Arrow came out on the market, I switched. I always had been kind of an offset V guy when the band started and switched to a single design. But when ESP put out the Arrow, I loved it right away. I loved how it sat on me. As you can see this picture, one of these pictures, I had an ESP Arrow, an E2 Arrow that I tore apart, took out all the knobs, took the pickup the way I wanted it. And it was sort of like the last ESP before my custom and sort of the final one where I said to them, like, this is what I want. Look, this, I've been all over the world. Just make me this, you know? It's really a stock Arrow, but it is very different than every other Arrow that exists for a lot of key reasons, man. Okay, it's subtle, but it has a different scale length. It's slightly tighter, 24.75. So if you're doing long stretches, dime bag shit, weird arpeggio shit, I'm telling you, play some other guitar, you're like, God, it hurts my pinky. Why is it that much difference? That on top of the wood is basically all mahogany. And so it's a very thick, resonant sound that you're not going to have with a lot of the Arrows because some of the Arrows are made to be a little bit more lighter. And also, lastly, it's got the James Hetfield signature pickup EMG already in. So you don't need to go like, oh, this is like a stock EMG. I want something with a little more color. I want this. I already went and got you the best heavy metal pickup. And I do love, you know, passive pickups. I love like Seymour Duncan style pickups. I like rock pickups. But in my signature guitar, I have an EMG James Hetfield because I like the way the EMGs kind of make all the clarity of the notes, the single notes pop out. And I really need that with the way our band riffs. So I've done the taste test. This is it. Floyd Rose 1000 on it. That's a higher end Floyd Rose you're going to get on most of those. So throw that in there with the big block inlays, the cool Olympic white finish. I mean,
shit, man, you sold me. I got to give it a go. I've got a Dean Razorback like dime signature. But I find,
well, you just need to, you can go sell that and you can probably get some money to go get this, but you ain't going to get enough. This is going to be a little more expensive than wherever that's at. Now, I mean, I got some dime guitars. I love them too. But that Razorbacks, that's got like points. It's kind of a bitch to play.
Yeah, it's that dime booker, man. That pickup. Oof.
Oh, that's great. I actually, you can't see in this photo, but the black guitar that I have with the V, I have original Bill Lawrence ML in there. And I love the sound of that. That's the original dime pickup. Don't get me wrong. I do love the twang of that, but it's a little too much when you start layering it. Darkest Hour has like a chorus of guitars and we need it to really blend. And I think that why that ML works so good, Bill Lawrence 500 XL, maybe I'm saying it wrong. The ML is the guitar. Why it works so good for Pantera is dime needed that cut and that bite and that, you know, it was one guitar, really one voice. Whereas Darkest Hour, it's a chorus, you know, so everything's different. I mean, if I could pick what I've gravitated to based on solely what I think is cool, it would be different than what I've gravitated to based on what I think needs to absolutely get the job done and is cool, you know, and that's where this guitar is at.
That's cool. Well, I do forget that not everyone listening to the show is a guitar player. But before we change the subject completely, you did mention Alexi Laiho, and when I saw your guitar, it kind of reminded me of his. I mean, that's also an ESP, white V, one bridge pickup. Did you ever get to meet him or play with Children of Bodom?
Dude, I have a really embarrassing Children of Bodom story, but I'll tell you it. We played on a tour, one of our first tours across America with the Destruction, Cataclysm, Dying Fetus, and Darkest Hour. Enslaved also joined the tour. As you can tell by all those bands, Darkest Hour doesn't really fit in, especially in like 2000 when we sucked. I didn't say that. Where we were very punk. So we were very aggressive. We were surly road dogs who'd already been in the punk rock scene, and we knew everything. Metal bands respected us anyway, so we didn't respect anybody else. So we were like a fucking gang. And we were on tour with Destruction, Cataclysm, and the fucking other band, Dying Fetus. And we got to this backstage a little early in Montreal, and man, there was a sick ass spread. So we tore up the spread. I mean, we ate all that shit, man. We hadn't seen a deli spread in forever because we would get there and Destruction would take it, Cataclysm would put it on their bus, whatever. So in the middle of destroying this shit, we see these like fucking little kids, man. That's what they look like to us, like in all black with like makeup and shit, like their fingernails were painted and shit. And they were just like look pale and just we were like, who are these fucking kids? There was a whole group of them, but they look like kids. And we're snacking down on this shit. We're like, hey, what's up with you guys? Like, and they're like, oh, hey. And they had an accent right away. And they're like, oh, we're here. We're playing. And we're like, you guys are playing? What are you guys in the local band? And they're like, oh, no, there's no local band. We're from Norway. And we're like, oh, really? That's weird. What are you guys called? And they're like, oh, we're called Children of Bodom. We're like, oh, really? That's weird. And we're just kind of like talking. We're like, who are these guys? Whatever. So we were pissed all of a sudden when we found out they were over us in the goddamn lineup. We were like, who are these? Who is this band, right? Man, no one told us anything. And they didn't say shit. Because I think, honestly, like, we looked like fucking insane savages. So why would they? And they were maybe on their, I think this was their first tour of America. So I'm getting into my story because we had a killer show. Nailed it. Got off the stage and we're like, yeah, all right, children or whatever. Good luck. Well, I remember I'm getting off the stage and out of nowhere, one of the dudes in the band, the keyboard player, walks on the stage to put his keyboard stand on the stage, and the whole fucking place went ape shit. I'm telling you, like, louder than our entire concert at its highest level, including the amps. Like, the whole place went crazy. And then those guys started setting up, and the place went shitballs. They couldn't even set up, man. And we were just behind the curve. We had never heard of them. We were in our own little hardcore punk bubble, but they crushed that show. We were embarrassed. We hung out with them afterwards. They were cool. We linked up with them again at the Milwaukee Metal Fest because they played that the same year we did, and that was cool. They were like, Alexi was young and very nice and super cool. And then we kept in touch with them over the years. We never did a tour with Children of Bodom, but we're always at. I think the last time I saw them, they were on tour with the Monomarth, who's another band that we were like have a funny story about too. But it was always good times. I think we have some road crew people who have worked for them and also worked for Darkest Hour. But I'll never forget, like, it was one of those good early stories that remind you, like, never underestimate the person you're in the room with, because we had no fucking idea who Children of anyone was or who he was or anything. We were just on tour in our own little bubble, and we were just like in there like we were Van Halen, and it was awesome. We got served. It was good for us, because when you get smacked down like that, you learn a lot about your band and about your preconceived notions and about what you think's good. And I think it was a good lesson for us. And also, now that he's gone, I just feel lucky to have been able to,
Sure, and
be
I think
around that fire for a second, because they brought it.
yeah, man. I think that's a great thing that they did. They challenged a lot of people by having these sort of lighter, fun, popular moments, but being able to back it up. Well, I'm glad that there was a story in there, man. I wasn't expecting that at all. Awesome. With all these guitar players who performed on Live in Lockdown, officially it's you, John Henry, Aaron, and Travis in the band. Do you plan to get a permanent second guitar player, or are you going to continue with guitar players? What's the plan there?
We've written a bunch already. We have a bunch of stuff. We're writing. I don't want to say just but there's a lot more of work that I have to do as a guitar player than the other guys. But we're writing with a few other people right now, and we're putting together the best possible album. We're not making any steps in any direction. There's a lot of people that could really fit that role awesome. But right now, given the way the pandemic is, given the way the touring is, we're just not quite sure what the best move is. And there's a bunch of options. So sort of like when you're in this position as in a band, your best move is to let everything grow organically and just let everybody know who's a fan of the band. Like, don't worry. We're working super hard. And if you need to know what we're doing, just join us on the goddamn Patreon, because we are annoyingly responsive. And yeah, it takes a long time to make albums. I think maybe longer than some people think. And we don't really have that much to prove with album 10 in the sense that the timing of it. We have a lot to prove in the sound of it, but you need to have your mind blown as a Darkest Hour fan for album 10, in my opinion. You don't just need 10 more Darkest Hour songs, or we could give you that tomorrow. You need that next album that makes you feel the way whatever one you love the most does. And that's what we're trying to do, because each album's special to us. So I think we're just trying to find the lane that is the right time for this album 10 to tell its story. And I think that's, going to happen on its pace. That's happening now. And as along with who joins the band whenever that needs to happen, or if we continue to just have me run the ship on guitar and we'll have a cavalcade of badass, awesome dudes or even possibly a lady at some point coming in there, and we're always changing it up, and you never know, because
It worked for
I think
Baroness.
there's a saying our sound guy used to say all the time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You never know. We have a sound guy who always says, the worst saying ever is we always do things this way. So we're just going to chill on the mantra of right now, there's no lack of guitar ideas. So
yeah,
we're just the four of us, we're riding the storm, and the future's wide open. And trust me, you're going to want to watch because it's going to be badass. Whatever we do.
I
we get three guitar players, bro.
So I had written to ask you about the next album, but there's the best way of getting the answer to that is go onto the Patreon. Everybody jump onto the Patreon and subscribe there. There's 2 tiers available, right?
Yeah, there's 2 tiers. We basically hook everybody up. It's, all the money goes towards funding the album 10, but we have a digital only tier if you really don't want to get the physical stuff and the paper stuff, and and then we have a physical tier where if you want to get mailed everything, this is how you enter in your address and all your information. We hook it up with a lot of different items over the course of the year. It's not something every month because we have to save up every once in a while to make the items quality, but a lot of the stuff is exclusive. Some of it might trickle out on the internet if there's an extra, but it's not going to be that easy to get any of this stuff. And I think more importantly, it's where the story of the album is being created, and no Darkest Hour album is created in a vacuum. It's either the record label or the producer, whoever. And so in some weird way right now, people have this unique opportunity with the Patreon to sort of be involved with that creation, because if you're there, you are along with us along the way. And if you are along with us on the way, there's no way you're not going to be a little part of this in some way.
Absolutely. And that's awesome. And I'm a happy, proud patron. And I encourage everyone listening and watching, go to the Patreon, subscribe to Darkest Hour. That's the only place to hear the new release live in lockdown. And I've already heard it. It is mint. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me today. Can't wait to hear the next album, and I'll talk to you on Patreon.
Cheers, dude. Party on. See you on the old Patreon.
Looking forward to it. You take care, bro.
Later.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications about any future interviews I post here on the page. Or better still, listen to The Coffin Nail live every second Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central European Time on Keith FM. That's KEITHFEM.com. You can also listen to full episodes on mixcloud.com/the Lightbreaker. I'm on Twitter at CoffinnailRadio, and you can write to me with any questions at thecoffinnailradio@gmail.com. Thanks very much. I'll see you soon.